So I'm working from the background forward. I've put in my sky. I just put in this beat sun. And as I'm going, I'm rasterizing and I'm rough cutting. I'm not doing a refined cutout yet. I'll get to that a little later on. First, I want to just get rough kind of overlaps of everything, like using big chunky scissors before we get out an X-Acto knife. So next come the broccoli hills. I added some lettuce in that I just found. So how do I rough cut it? I just use my lasso, make sure I'm on the right layer. And you just cut around. I don't need to worry so much about the bottom because that's going to get overlapped with other elements too. But this top is going to be overlapped with my sky. And then I have to Command J, duplicate it, and then delete the smart object underneath that it comes from. Come on. And by deleting these smart objects, that's going to help save your memory, as you go. If you're noticing that it takes Photoshop or Photopea a little while to save. Also, because these are now rasterized, when you do Control T, wrong layer. Come on. In order to size them, you will be changing their actual pixels, the pixels that Photopea is remembering. So having things about the right size is going to be really helpful. So maybe about there. And it can be helpful to have transparency, opacity, to dim them a little bit so you can see how they line up with your sketch as you place them. Okay, the next is this broccoli. I'm thinking this will just go, this is kind of bland, so it's just going to go behind where the celery is. I'm going to cut it out loosely. With my lasso. I can zoom in with Command plus. Look at that clean resolution to just make sure I'm not accidentally cutting into the image. And if I am, I can use my lasso and I can hold down Shift while using the lasso and add to it, to give me a little bit more overlap. Then I hit Command J. It makes a new layer. Then I go to the layer underneath, the smart object. And it's going to close some other things because my Photopea is going pretty slow. There we go. And then delete that. And that saves on memory. And then I'm going to take its opacity down. So it's taking a while to show it. And you can use the move layer and auto select. So that broccoli is way up there. I also have kale. So I have maybe more elements than I need. I'm going to make this kind of lower. So let me bring it forward. And this is already cut out because it was a PNG element. So all I have to do is take its opacity down. So I can see how it fits in with the sketch. And then one last broccoli. Bring this down. This is like the sickly looking broccoli. I wonder what edge I want to use. I think I might actually use that just for the texture of it. This is going to be off to the side here. Let's see, does that work? Yeah, there'll be plenty of overlap. Okay, and now if I'm having trouble seeing it, I might have to move some of these out of the way. That's why you need all that working space. And I just do a rough cut around it. And I'm getting rid of a lot of pixels I don't need. First by hitting Command J. I think that was the wrong layer. Yep. So you can only copy from a layer that you have selected. So make sure you're on the right layer. Let me do my lasso selection and then get on the right layer and then hit Command J. And then delete the smart object. And then take its opacity down. Photopea does this annoying thing that when you delete, it goes to the layer below it rather than the layer above it after delete. So you often have to reselect the layer you want. Now it's mushroom time. Let's go back to my move tool. And I just want basically all of this. And it will be work to cut this out, but right now I just want to do a rough cut. Really important to get rid of hard edges. You know, like the verticals and the horizontals of the edges of the picture frame. So this is basically what I want. And then Command J. And remember, it also rasterizes it for us. And then take down the opacity. But I gotta click on the right layer. There it is. Okay, and now the lake. Let's see, how's that gonna work best? I'm losing my sketch a little bit, and so I can do what we did for exercise 2. If I need to, I can duplicate it, move it up to the very top, and onion skin it. Let's take its opacity down to like 15% or so, really low. And then lock it. Important to lock it so you don't accidentally select it later. And so yeah, I've got my mushrooms, and then I'm going to have my lake. Something probably like this. Okay, now I just need to do a rough cutout with my lasso. And then Command J, but make sure I'm on the right thing. I am. And then delete the smart layer underneath. There we go. It got there eventually. And take its opacity down. So a lot of repetition. Did I accidentally erase my chanterelles behind? So annoying. Yeah, I accidentally deleted more layers than I wanted to. So there it is, cut out. What do I not need anymore? That history is very, very helpful. Yes, I didn't want to delete that. Yeah, so I think I'm good. I also had this forest. I forgot all about this forest. So the Swiss chard forest. Let's first move it so I can see all of it and kind of understand how I'm going to place it. I was thinking I would do something like this with it. Like grab these leaf edges, if I have time. Excuse me, almost sneezed. All right, so grab that, duplicate it. And if you decide you don't need something, this is a good time just to delete a resource. Now my power just flickered. So hopefully it will hold on here. And then I'm going to move this into place. I'm just going to keep it that size for now, but I'm obviously going to have to make some adjustments. Like maybe I can Control T and just squish it a little bit by holding down Shift while I scale. All right, and then I'm going to take its opacity down. And I need to rasterize this kale. So you rasterize as you go up. I'm going to save now. It's Command S. And it will update. So you can see how the top of it is kind of cleared of my magazine pages as I bring my things in to my composition. Next, I thought this would be a good kind of transition into the foreground and covering kind of the edges of the mushroom lake. These cabbage shreds. And I want all of it. So I'm doing a rough cut around that sharp pile of cabbage. Even though a lot of it goes out of my sketch range, I never know how I might alter it. And then Command J, and select the smart layer it comes from, and delete. So much repetition. And then take its opacity down. I still haven't taken the opacity down on the soup, and that will help as well. Okay, I like how the colors are kind of warming up as it's coming forward. And now some of these foreground elements, like this cabbage blossom coming in from the corner. Maybe not Command T, Control T. It's the big difference between Photo P and Photoshop. Maybe shrink it a little bit into the corner here. It's kind of exploding out of the corner. And then I'm going to turn off the onion skin layer just so I can see it in full opacity. And I have to decide with my lasso, there it is, where to kind of cut these leaves off, right? And I mostly want the blossom and then let it go. Duplicate it, delete the smart layer it comes from. And because they're the foreground layers, I don't even need to keep their opacity lower anymore. You can kind of see how it's going. And now, though I am losing where the tree goes, so I'm going to turn that onion skin layer back on. The tree is here. I have the base of the tree. Ooh, there's a lot. And the base of the tree is going to be a little fugly and interesting. Like so. I'll grab a lot of these flowers. And what's nice is all of this I'm just doing with the trackpad. You don't really need a stylus for it. We're just doing the rough lasso. It will be helpful next class to have a tablet because that will allow us to do kind of much finer selections and gradations and edge control things. So I was thinking this might be like here at the base, but behind